Next up, we're going to do a little bit of a review on an unwrap. Our model, because we're going to use a procedural map, doesn't necessarily need to have an unwrap, but we could still quickly review it in case you want to take the model and use it to practice your unwrapping skills on. I'm going to start off by combining my model all into one object. So I'm going to select on the head, and we could use the attach and click through and attach each one, or we can use the attach list. The attached list, I can simply go in, Control A, select all, and click on the attach. And then match material IDs to the material and click OK. And there we go. We've got our object completely attached all together. We can relabel this to our robot. And to get it prepped and ready, let's go ahead and recenter our pivot point and then reset our X form. So I'm going to go into my hierarchy tab, my effect pivot point, center to the object, but I'm also going to go down here to the adjust transform rollout and do reset transform and reset scale. Then I'll deselect the effect pivot point and I'll go over to my utilities and to our reset X form, and that way we're making sure that our object is well constructed. And go ahead and collapse all, right click and do collapse all, so we're just an edit poly in the modifier stack. And the last thing we can do is just right click on the object, go into object properties, turn on our backface culling, just to make sure that what we see is what we are working on. Alright, so we're looking pretty good there. Let's go ahead and go back to our 4-panel views here. So our character is ready. If we wanted to apply an unwrap modifier to it, we can do the unwrap UVW. We can go into the open UV editor. In the UV editor we can switch over to our poly mode, select on all the polys, Control A, and you can see right now they're just all stacked up all on top of each other. The easiest thing to do is to go into your flatten mapping and do your mapping option. We can adjust the threshold right here. Oh, we could bump that up to maybe about 80. And we can adjust some of these properties if we wanted to, if you didn't want it to rotate any of the clusters, the groups, or if we didn't want it to fill in any holes and just keep them all separate, or if we want to do it by material ID. Default, this is going to be just fine. The spacing is the padding in between each piece. We could actually bump that down to 1, 0, 1. Makes it a little bit tighter. Click OK. And it runs through all of the geometry in there. It stacks it up all inside of our UV space right in here. We'll make this a little bit bigger. Now, of course, where it's cutting it and where it's putting it isn't necessarily exactly where you would want it. If we go closer to our object here, we can see that we have seams that run through and across the object, and this is where we'd go back in and either one, use a different type of mapping option to capture those shapes, or two, select on the different edges and then use your weld tools, weld things together. In either case, it's a good opportunity to practice some of that. For our project right now, though, we don't necessarily need the unwrap to do a material, so we're going to go ahead and collapse this down, collapse all. The unwrap is still part of it. We're just collapsing it back down to a base poly. But that gets us set up so there is an unwrap on it. It's not just all stacked up on top of each other, and if we wanted to go back in, we could. Our focus though right now is we want to take our object and make some materials for it. So let's go in and make a couple of materials.